Getting that perfect, buttery smooth panning shot usually requires a steady hand or a very expensive slider. But this little motorized head tries to bridge that gap without breaking the bank. It is one of those gadgets that looks unassuming sitting on a desk, but once it starts moving, it actually changes how a shot feels. The build is compact enough that it doesn't feel like a burden to toss into a camera bag, which is a huge plus for anyone who hates lugging around heavy gear. What really catches the eye here is the simplicity of the controls. There is a physical switch selector that lets you toggle between 30, 60, or 90-degree movements. It is refreshingly tactile. You aren't digging through a digital menu or syncing an app just to get the thing to rotate. You just click the switch and go. That kind of immediate feedback is something a lot of modern tech seems to have forgotten. Now, the range of motion is interesting. You get a horizontal sweep of 90 degrees in either direction, which is plenty for most interview setups or product showcases. The vertical tilt is a bit more modest, sitting at 15 degrees. It is not going to point your camera at the ceiling or the floor, but for subtle adjustments or tracking a subject across a room, it does the job well. One thing to keep in mind is the motor noise. It is not exactly silent. In a quiet room with a sensitive microphone right next to it, you might pick up a faint hum. It is not a deal breaker for most, but if you are recording crisp audio for a documentary, you might want to keep the mic a few feet away. The movement itself is consistent, though. It doesn't jerk or stutter when it starts or stops, which is the most important part for video work. It feels like a solid, reliable tool for someone who wants to add a bit of professional polish to their content without needing a degree in robotics. Honestly, the biggest limitation is that 15-degree vertical tilt. Sometimes you just want a little more reach, and hitting that hard stop can feel a bit restrictive if you are trying to get creative with high or low angles. But for the price point, it is hard to complain too much. It does exactly what it says on the box, and it does it with a level of reliability that is actually quite surprising. If you are tired of shaky handheld pans and want something that just works every time you flip the switch, this is a pretty smart addition to the kit. It is not going to replace a high-end cinema rig, but for the everyday creator, it hits that sweet spot between functionality and ease of use. It is a simple, effective piece of gear that does the heavy lifting, so the camera work looks a lot more intentional.
Check out the video description for updated price. And thank you for watching this video.